So, today is going to be my review of the Disney Plus original movie Mulan, which wasn't supposed to be a Disney Plus original movie, but then, everything happened, so now it's on Disney Plus. But anyway, I'm rambling. So, I have seen the original animated Mulan from 1998 before, but it's been years and I don't remember it too much. So this is kind of like, I know the base story, but like a lot of it's kind of, this is a new experience for me. And then I'm not going to be covering like any of the controversy surrounding the movie or like, the $30 price tag or any of that. I'm just going to be talking about what I thought about it. So, yeah, I'll just jump right into it, talking about the negatives first off. I think the movie moves at an extremely fast pace, where it doesn't really give enough time for anything to sit in. Like, maybe a character's making, like, they're making a decision that's going to have a lot of weight on the story going forward. There's no time for characters to kind of think about and process what they've done or process what they're going to do. It just, everything's very quick, very fast. And I feel like a lot of scenes are like that, especially the scenes where it needs to be more slowed down and kind of, we need to see what our heroes are thinking and not just go from one scene to the next quickly. It's a similar problem to what I had with Rise of Skywalker, but I think this is definitely worse in that category, but it's still not awful. Moving on to some things I'm mixed about. I thought about how I thought the movie needed to be more slow. It did that. Ironically, this is the thing I'm mixed about. It used slow motion action sequences. Like, I thought the use of slow-mo was good, but I feel like sometimes they use slow-mo too frequently. Especially considering, sometimes in some action scenes they'd have like 10 slow-mo shots of people, doing backflips, jumping midair. And not that I think any of them were bad, but sometimes there's just too much of them in one fight scene. And then, moving on to that, another thing I was mixed on is there are a lot of scenes and moments where, like, I feel like they kind of fit the tone of the movie, but they just feel like they were scenes where when someone wrote them, they were kind of thinking of animation. Like, people running up walls, the scene where kind of Mulan catches some china on pairs of chopsticks after it started to fall, the whole scene with the matchmaker and the spider. There are a lot of moments in this movie where, like, they just feel a little too goofy and unrealistic, and I know this is a movie with, phoenixes and, that one witch lady and stuff, but like, there's people just straight up breaking physics here by running on walls and, like, doing backflips. And it just kind of pulls me out of the movie whenever that happened. There are some moments where they do things like that where, I'm fine with it, but sometimes it's just weird. But those are my only big complaints with the movie. On to some of the positives. First off, this movie looks beautiful. The visual effects are great in every scene, especially the action fights. It does a great job kind of visualizing China and the world around it, whether it's kind of, the forests or the mountains or the cities. It all looks beautiful. It all looks kind of lived in and real. I think they did a great job with that, kind of portraying and visualizing China. Without speaking of the controversy, I thought the whole cast did a good job. There's no actor I feel like, they're doing kind of weird. There's no real standouts either, because kind of going into the whole thing about, they never gave anyone a moment to sit in. There was never any real moments where I felt like, oh, that cast member is doing a surprisingly great job with this scene. There was no moments for that to happen, so I didn't, grow on the cast too much, but I think they did a good job. The action scenes and fights are all really well shot. They're well choreographed, and aside from, some of the unrealistic things, I really enjoy watching the action scenes of this movie, especially a lot of the battles in the second half. I like how in the first half of the movie, since there's not a lot of Mulan action scenes, it kind of breaks off and shows the villains and all their fights, and I thought that was really cool to still give some action at the beginning. Speaking of the villains, the main kind of Khan villain, I kind of like his dynamic with the Emperor. The Emperor killed his father, and he's here to get revenge, take over China. I thought that worked. And I thought kind of that witch lady, she really worked. I know, when I first was going into this movie, I thought it'd be kind of weird seeing, like, this witch, but, she did her role pretty well. I kind of liked her story about how she was kind of forgotten, and people didn't like her. They cast her out, kind of similar to Mulan, kind of the evil version of Mulan. But she had a good redemption near the end of the movie, even if it was, quick, fast-paced. But there was a lot of changes this movie made from the original, but I think it did a good job of kind of standing on its own and making a difference and being different from, the original 1998 movie, and it kind of took from inspiration from the original story as well, kind of making its own thing with new changes like the Phoenix and the witch, and I thought the movie was really good. The soundtrack was definitely great. I kind of like how it had a very, Chinese feel to it. And then I loved kind of how it never brought back the songs from the original. The songs in Mushu are the main things cut out, but I really think it benefited the movie, made it its own thing. But I did like how kind of some of the songs from the original movie, they kind of played the tune during kind of those moments from the story. I thought that really worked. And overall, the movie, it's decently entertaining. I thought it was a lot of fun watching it. It's really great at kind of showing off China beautifully, and I thought it did enough to diversify itself from the original that it warranted being made, warranted being its own story. I think Mulan was definitely one of the best choices they could have made for a live-action remake, and I think they did great with it. So, besides a few issues with how fast-paced it was and how goofy it could be at sometimes, I really liked it, so I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed the movie. I hope you enjoyed this review. I don't know when my next video will be coming. I'm thinking a Matrix video, but until then, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.